All right, welcome back to another Japan Book Hunter. And today I want to talk about Otomo Katsuhiro's Domu. Not so much about the manga, but about Domu, the movie that was never made. But before we get into the movie side of things, first, a little recap of Domu. Of course, Domu was serialized from 1980 to 1981, and then the tankobon came out in 1983. Pre-Domu, Otomo mostly did heavy gekiga or realism in his manga. Stories about rock bands, about travelers, about families. But then he saw The Exorcist, and upon seeing The Exorcist, he got super stoked on it. And when he wrote Domu, he decided to storyboard it like a movie. So after storyboarding it like a movie, he made it into the manga. So the whole time in the back of his mind, he was planning to make this into a movie at some point. Of course, later he would make the most amazing anime ever made, Akira, but Domu was supposed to be made into either an anime, but preferably a live action movie. A little recap, it's set in the Tsutsumi Danshi, or housing projects. We have Old Man Cho, who seems like an old man who has dementia or something, but really he has extrasensory powers. He can read minds, he can move things, he can control people, and he starts to create havoc in this danshi, or housing complex. Incidentally, Otomo got the idea for this because he was living in a danshi, and one of the buildings over, they usually are comprised of like many buildings. If you imagine like housing projects in 70s New York City or something, there was a string of suicides. If you go to a lot of those danshi out in northern Tokyo, you can still see nets around the buildings, keeping people from jumping off of these. So you'll see nets up on here, in every like fourth balcony or so, there'll be nets to keep people from jumping off, like it's Foxconn. And then Old Man Cho, of course, a couple murders, a little bit of murder, a little bit of child murder too. People forget how many kids died in this. Remember all the kids on the balconies when he's destroying the buildings in the battle? So many children die. And then we get Etsuko, and Etsuko, she also has extrasensory powers, and it becomes a showdown between herself and Old Cho. And of course, the artwork is amazing, but what a lot of people don't know, and of course, if you want to join the 5,000 Club, it'll cost you a lot of money, and I don't find them very often, but sometimes I do find them. This is my personal copy, of course, limited to 5,000 deluxe artist edition. I don't know, just keep on checking JapanBookHunter.com, my friends, or my Instagram, Japan Book Hunter. Domu was highly successful as a manga. So by 1984, Otomo was already thinking about, what do I do? I need to make a movie of this. So he had a soundtrack for the movie made, which is this record. Katsuhiro, I think so, who was the composer for this. And I don't care about any copyright strikes. We're gonna play this in the background here, and let's take a look inside this. This is actually in excellent condition. This is my personal copy. It comes with the obi, so sometimes it's hard to find it with the obi. And let's see what we have inside here. So we have the record. Sleeve is rad. Oh, here, let me show the back as well. And we have some inserts. So, the movie. He makes a soundtrack for a movie that is not even made yet, and then starts shopping it around. By the early 90s, so it's taking him a while, he's working on like Akira at the same time, other things, but by the early 90s, he starts shopping it hard, and Bandai, the toy company, starts getting involved in it. Then they recruit David Lynch to direct the movie. And incidentally, David Lynch in partnership with Lucasfilms, of all production agencies, which is wild to me. So David Lynch picks it up, Lucasfilms picks it up. Time goes by, there's disputes. So we have a big interview here. Behind the scenes stuff that no one really knows about. But anyways, it doesn't get made. At some point, it gets picked up by Propaganda Films and Del Toro. Guillermo del Toro? My pronunciation is awful. Look at that, isn't that great? So Propaganda and Del Toro have the film rights to it, and then that's around 1999. But again, problems with the production company, problems with just the whole process of trying to get the film made, that ends up falling through. Then in 2006, Otomo decides he's just gonna make it by himself. He wants this made into a live action film and he wants it done now. So he starts putting stuff together. He's got a soundtrack for it. He's got some ideas for it. Again, starts trying to go into production. And in fact, somewhere out there, there is a 6-minute trailer for the Domu movie. It was even screened at that big film festival in France, or that big, not film festival, manga event in France every year. I can't remember the name off the top of my head. Isn't that cool? Old man shows face. So somewhere out there, there's a 6-minute trailer of a live action Domu. If anyone has ever seen that, or I've searched a few times, dug around in Japanese and in English on the internet and not been able to find anything on it. But if anyone out there has a link, man, hook me up. So then a little bit more time goes by, and by early, 2012, 2014, the project has stalled for so long, it's completely abandoned. So as you know, Otomo has been doing the Otomo Complete Works releases over the last couple of years. I think there's gonna be something like 27 books or something like that in that series. Yeah, so I think he's kind of focused on that, his pop-up events, and kind of, these older mangaka and animators are kind of cashing in as they get older. We see Go Nagai doing it right now. We see Maruo Suehiro. A lot of the older mangaka are doing like lots of events these days. Of course, there's the Fist of the North Star last year. A lot of these guys are, slanging merch hard right now and not thinking about making movies. But someday, if we are lucky, we just might get a live action Domu, which would be amazing. This is my cursory, kind of light little breakdown of the Domu, the movie that was never made. If you have any more information, please drop it in the comments below, because I'm really curious about this subject and would love to see Domu made into a live action film. If you want to support the show, support what we do, go to japanbookhunter.com and buy some rad manga, art books, all kinds of stuff up there, vintage posters, a few toys, but mostly manga, my friends. And Japan Book Hunter on Instagram is where I post all of the rare stuff that doesn't make it to the website. And finally, Japan Book Hunter on TikTok, and we have a Discord. All those links are down below, and thank you for all the support, my friends. またね